I'm going to find you the type of man that I think you deserve to be with because I'm not enough man for you. So it's ironic that she's actually talking about breaking up with him and walking away from this relationship when the two of them may both be insecure, but just for different reasons. You could be with anyone, I could be with anyone, you're here with me, you're here with me, you could be around me. You could be with anyone, I could be with anyone, you're here with me, you're here with me. Let's get it. Alright, so I want to talk about an issue that popped into my inbox and it was asked as a question. It says, my husband wants to swing and I don't. Please give me some advice on what to do. Now, here's the first thing. One, I don't give advice. I just give my perspective, my take on my personal life experience. And this is just how I feel and how I kind of move in this world, this thing we call life. So that's the first thing. The second thing, as I'm reading through this, I'm going to go through and give my perspective on certain points. And some of you may agree, some of you may disagree. Please keep in mind that I am not saying that what you do is wrong. I'm just merely saying that this is how I move. So let's get it. Hello, I am not here to bash or be judgmental to the swinging lifestyle. The situation. My husband, who is 30 years old, wants to try swinging. And this young lady is 26, have no desire to try this. And that's perfectly fine. Everybody has to have their own line. They have to have their own boundaries. They have to be able to move within their own skin, their own way. So if this is something that you don't want to try, no matter how great or wonderful it looks on the movies or on TLC or wherever you watch your programs at, ABC, NBC, CBS, whatever the case may be, that's fine for them. But you don't have to try to apply that to your life. When he first brought it up, it was in the middle of them getting busy. Wow. I guess that would be the time, like, you guys are kind of loose and you're free. You're like, okay, you just throw something out there as something you want to try, maybe something that excites you in the moment, or maybe something that he's been considering for some time, and that was just the time when he felt like he could bring it up because you might have been in a certain mood. Okay, no judgment or call out there. I didn't deny it, but I also didn't openly agree. So you didn't come right out and say, oh my God, what are you talking about? That's disgusting. Get away from me. Get away from me. But you didn't excitedly say, yeah, this is what I want to try. So for him, that's just something that he presented to you and you kind of put it on the back burner as a possibility. Well, he's mentioned it a few more times and I can tell he has a real desire to try this. Wow. Okay, so it's something that's recurring, something that he keeps bringing up. And my question is, as he's bringing this up, are you expressing how you feel? As he's telling you what his hopes and his dreams are and he's starting the dialogue, are you continuing that dialogue or are you shutting down? Are you no longer answering that question? Because to be honest with you, if you aren't giving him an answer, you aren't giving him a reply, you aren't kind of giving him a way up or down as to whether you're accepting this or denying this, then yeah, he's going to keep asking you. And it's going to be a recurring conversation. The more I think about it, the more it bothers me. Okay, express that to him. For starters, he's more interested in the male, two guys and a lady. So he wants the MFM. For my reaction pleasure, he says. So he wants to bring another guy into the room. That's okay. I mean, that happens. I guess that could be a thing. You know, not every guy wants to try to undergo the pressures of making two women happy. I get that, I guess. I am the type of woman who needs an emotional connection to feel any sort of physical or sexual desire. There's nothing wrong with that. And that should be one of the things. This is part of the idea of kink. So if this is your twist, this is what you're into, there's nothing wrong with you saying that this is what I want out of a relationship. And this is what turns me on. This is what turns me off. You know, that for some people, it could be, you know, role playing, or it could be something of that regard. Or for other people, maybe it's just holding hands in a bowl of pot of spaghetti with some cheap wine sitting out on a blanket. That might be their twist. You never know. I mean, everybody is different. Everybody got their own thing. So that's hers. I have attempted to think of any other man touching me while in the mood, and I drive like the Sahara Desert with zero chance of getting excited again afterwards. So she doesn't even want to think about another dude. She's all into the people that she's into, which is there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, we should applaud that. She's about this monogamy life. This is where she wants to be, and she's expressing that feeling. On top of that, I really don't want to see, feel, listen, or experience any of what I do with my husband with another man. And you should tell him that. There's nothing wrong with you guys having that open conversation, that open dialogue. The thought of him touching, kissing, feeling, and wanting another woman like he does me repulses me. And that's kind of the root of the issue too, because the truth of the matter is, when you start bringing people in and you start inviting people in, you have to be very careful that it doesn't become an open invitation. So you might get the one thing that you want, and then they may turn around and say, well, if I'm doing this for you, then you can do this for me. We need more of a reciprocal relationship. So that's always a thing where you have to consider, even before you broach it. You have to be comfortable with your boundaries. So get to know yourself, understand what you want out of life, and understand what you're comfortable with. And then from there, that's where you start to negotiate and talk about what it is you want to try, what it is you want to do. If you're not comfortable with those boundaries, then you have to have that conversation to let them know that you're not comfortable with those boundaries. I've come down with a few conclusions. One, I tried this and may enjoy it. I'm highly doubtful because I personally don't desire a lifestyle of this. I want and have always been open about being monogamous. It's my choice, the type of life I want to live, etc. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. If that's what you choose to do, then that's what you choose to do. If you want to be monogamous, you don't want to step out, you don't want a little weird in your relationship, you don't want a little strange in your relationship, there's nothing wrong with you expressing that. But again, that is something that you have to know for yourself. One, two, you have to be able to express it to your partner. And there's a big credit that I have to give to where he feels like he's comfortable enough in your relationship that he can come to you with things that might excite him and open that up for a conversation and discussion. Don't cut people off when they come to you about the things that they want to get out of the relationship. Don't make yourself a thing where you better not absolutely come to me with that foolishness, or some things going to happen. There's going to be some furniture getting rearranged up in this mother. Because what you're doing is you're shutting them down and you're blocking them off. Allow them to have the conversation with you, and then go back and have the conversation. Make sure it's well thought out and it's supported by your emotions, your thoughts, your logic, or whatever the case may be, so that you can engage in that conversation with your partner. Two, I try this with him, don't want anything to do with the lifestyle, and walk away. I don't think that there will be much to hold on to for me if this is done. For me, this pushes a wedge in what marriage is for me, as our marriage will no longer be about just us. So I know if I don't enjoy this and want this life, I will walk away from our marriage. At least then, when he moves on, if it's with another woman like myself, then he doesn't have to bring these feelings, desires into another relationship. That's kind of cute that you're saying that you're worried about his next marriage. In his next marriage, after he loses me, maybe he can get himself together and figure it out. Oh, well, it doesn't matter whether he figures it out for his next relationship. Let's talk about this relationship he's in. You understand that if it doesn't work out, and this is something that a lot of folks who, like in my experience, when people have broached this subject, whether it's in a group or whatever the case may be, and they start talking about it, this is one of the things that they don't think about. So it's very insightful that she points this out and says that, this is a possibility. We may engage in this. I may see some things and observe some things that I can't get over. Because if you're not, there's one thing between seeing it and there's another thing and fantasizing about it, and there's another thing when you're actually doing it. Now, a lot of times when people think about this kind of thing, they think of it kind of like you think of fighting in the movies. Like when you see somebody fist fighting in the movies, everybody's like clean punches and clean blocks and ducking and flipping and jumping and rolling off of stuff and perfect precision timing. Is kind of like a dance and is fascinating to watch. It's entertaining. But if you've ever seen anybody fight in real life, it doesn't look anything like that. It's a big mess. It's just a bunch of and people, falling all over the place. It's not nothing cute about it. It's nothing interesting about it. And in the same way a lot of our violence is portrayed on screen, sexuality is oftentimes just stumbled all through that. I must be nervous. Sexuality is oftentimes portrayed the same way. When you watch adult content or whatever the case may be, or even you're watching some mature content on, ABC, CBS, or NBC, or one of the big network television shows, they'll have these kind of questions about these couples who engage in this type of lifestyle, and everybody seems cool with it. I've seen shows where, people will be dating seriously, then they break up, become best friends, and then they can openly talk about their relationships. That's cute on TV, but it doesn't necessarily translate to real life. And when you're talking about engaging in these types of relationships, when you get into, it's one thing for you to have the fantasy about doing it and dreaming about doing it, but then when you get into the real part of doing it and you engage in that and your heart isn't in it, isn't something that you want, and there's some things that you just can't compromise on, you compromise and give him that, but then you can't get the image of him being with another woman or her being with another man out of your mind, it can destroy your relationship. It can erode it, because no matter whether, it doesn't matter whether you do it that one time and don't ever do it again, that memory will always be there. You will know what it's like to watch your woman be pleased by another man. And that will never go away. And that will always bother you. So that's something to consider as you think about engaging in this. And I've always said that when you're inviting people into your home or your relationship, you have to understand that you're inviting that whole person into your relationship, no matter how brief it is. And when that person comes into your relationship, to a point, they have a say in your relationship. So we can't ignore that either. 3, I don't try this with him, and he regrets me denying him this later on, and he cheats. He goes behind my back to live out his fantasies, and I leave anyway. Or he goes behind your back, you don't find out about it. I mean, look, there's a million reasons why people cheat. And you denying him this experience isn't going to be the reason why he cheats. If that's the only thing that caused him to walk out the door and start cheating on you, then he wasn't there for you anyway. Okay? If he cheats on you, it's because he wants to cheat on you. And this is something that he wants to do. Let's be honest. You could do this with him, satisfy this desire, and give him a further appetite for this type of activity. And again, he'll wind up going out and going behind your back, breaking your agreement, so on and so forth. That's always a possibility. Because again, you're dealing with another person. If you guys go meet somebody and all three of you have a good time together, there's nothing to say that that person who you bring into your relationship won't look at your partner and say, hey, I had a good time with the two of you. Why don't the two of us get together and see what happens? And they get it popping together. So there's a lot of things that can happen. And again, if he's going to cheat, this won't be the only reason why he's cheating. So I've done hours of research on this lifestyle. Wow, okay, she did the research. Talked to some folks, looked up some Reddits and read some articles. I've contacted divorced couples that I found that were swingers, okay, because sometimes it could be the swinging was the catalyst to a problem. it started a problem, or it could be the result of a problem trying to fix a problem or something that was missing in the relationship. There's a lot of reasons why people open their relationships up. Some people do it just because it's their thing. They just like it. They get off on it. And that's fine too. I've asked their advice anonymously from other swingers forums on different social medias. I don't know if that sentence sounded right, but okay. This has been so emotionally, mentally, and physically draining. I've even started to see a marriage sex therapist to help me figure out what's going on. And there's nothing wrong with seeking therapy. That's completely normal. I would even encourage you to bring your spouse and include them in some of those therapy sessions so that you can kind of get to the root of the issue. If you can't have the conversation you don't feel comfortable having a conversation just between the two of you and you need that additional person, then that's a thing. But that might also reveal that you guys need to have some additional counseling in order to improve your communication skills. So additionally, I just feel like I'm not enough for him. And this is the thing, like sometimes when you present those ideas, and this is what could be scary for people to present their dreams, their hopes, and their fantasies, especially that little twist, that little kink that they have to their partner, because they're afraid of how that partner is going to react to what they say. And I have to say that in a lot of cases, it has nothing to do with you. It's not about you not being enough. It's just that he wants to try something different or she wants to try something different. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the best way to address it is to have the conversation, because you're a partnership. You guys are dealing and associating with each other. So he comes to you or she comes to you with a proposal. You have every right to answer that proposal and negotiate from that proposal or refuse that proposal. That just because they want to try something doesn't mean you have to give into it and try it. And and like same, just because, if it's such a big deal that it's going to cause the breakdown of your relationship, then so be it. Because if it's that important to him that he's absolutely going to go out and try this, or she's actually going to go out and try this, irregardless of what you say, then you have to place, what value does he place on the relationship, or what value does she place on the relationship in whatever case it may be. So additionally, I just feel like I'm not enough for him. We are currently expecting our second child. Okay, so you have children. Now that kind of puts a little, that puts a little more spin on it, because when you have children, it's one thing for you to do it if you don't have kids and you're just kind of out there making these kind of decisions for yourself and you're just living your life because you aren't really responsible for anybody else. But when you start adding kids into the mix, then you have to take those children and their futures into account as well. Especially if it's going to be something that could potentially break your family up. This is something that you should want to talk about, especially express to your partner as you're having these conversations and discussions. I feel very insecure. I feel very unwanted, although I have never felt this way before, as he has never not loved me and spoiled me and has shown me his love for me. Part of me is thinking to just walk away. So wow, you're going to break up with him because he asked you a question. Don't let the question drive you away. If he asks you the question and he inquires as to whether this is something you're willing to do, then you have to look at it and say, well, he came to me and asked me the question. But don't have him ask you the question and you turn around and shut him down and walk away or break up with him because he asked you a question. There's another part of this which I thought was kind of interesting, where it says, I feel very insecure. I feel very unwanted, although I have never felt this way before, as he has never not loved me and spoiled me and has shown his love for me. He is talking about bringing another dude in there to pleasure you. He's talking about bringing another person in there for you. And unless you're saying that he may be curious about certain experiences with other people, men, then in his mind, he may be doing this for you. Now, this may actually talk about his insecurity, because he wants to bring somebody in there to pleasure you, because he may feel like he's not enough for you and he wants you to have that full experience. And that's one of the weird things about our sexuality now in its current age, is that we have so much information and there's so much false information is put forward about sex and sexuality that a lot of people, especially men, I might want to say people, a lot of men feel like they have to be of a certain stature in order for them to actually pleasure a woman. So if they feel like they're lacking in that particular area, then they may try to find other resources, which might be another guy coming in. I'm going to find you the type of man that I think you deserve to be with, because I'm not enough man for you. So it's ironic that she's actually talking about breaking up with him and walking away from this relationship, when the two of them may both be insecure, but just for different reasons. She's insecure because he's asking her about his insecurities, in other words. He may not feel like he's enough or big enough or strong enough to be able to knock her down the way she want to get knocked down, get broke off. And she's feeling like, because he's saying that he wants to bring another person in to pleasure her, that all of a sudden he doesn't want her. And this is a communications issue. And this might be something that a therapist, if this is the issue, I'm not saying this is the issue, but if this was the issue, if this is a possibility, this may be something that the therapist may be able to talk to you about. And maybe he may need to see a therapist independent of you or separate from you to talk about his insecurities, maybe things that he doesn't think he measures up with. And it sounds like she's very happy with her relationship with him. And he may feel like he's not enough. So that could be him. And again, this is just one of those things. She says, in closing advice, I figured I would want to come to those who live this lifestyle for your input. Thank you for all your advice. I hope none of this seemed judgmental. If you are happy in your lifestyle and relationships, when I am so happy for you, so please don't take any of this the wrong way. And I can appreciate that. Sometimes when people feel like you're asking this question, that I don't want people to feel like I'm being judgmental on their lifestyle. It's not judgmental. It's not judgmental. What you're saying is, this isn't right for me. There's nothing wrong with you saying this isn't right for me. It doesn't say that it's evil or it's wrong. You're just saying, I don't want to participate in it. And there's nothing wrong with that. Part of what makes this so weird is the fact that if you say that this is something you don't want to do or participate in, you can be judged because this is something you don't want to do. You got to be open to this. I don't want to be open to this. You can't judge me. You have to live your life the best way you can live your life and navigate your ship in your life the best way you can. And the best way for me, at least in my opinion, for you to do that is for you to be open and honest about the things that you want from the partners that you engage with. If you're with somebody, and it would be far more scary to me if I was with somebody whom you couldn't have this conversation with. Or if it was something that I wanted to try or wanted to do, and I went to my partner and I said, hey, this is something I want to do, and they got scared and they left, or they abandoned me because this is something that I thought, then that would be concerning to me. Because we should be able to, if anything, the one person in the world you should be able to go to and have this type of conversation with is your partner. You guys should be able to have that open dialogue to where you can express how you feel and what your positions are, what your fears are, what your concerns are. Now, this is important because the person that you speak to may not be as clued in or tapped in or thinking about this whole situation as much as this young lady is. She sounds like she did research. She went back, thought about it. She has concerns. She created bullet points on her concerns. Not everybody is going to do that. And you have to pro and con this situation. What are the pros to it? What are the cons? The pros are you get a blah, blah, blah. Maybe this is something exciting and it'll be wonderful and it'll be great. Be just like the movies. The cons, it won't be like the movies. It'll be closer to real life and we fracture our family and destroy ourselves because my heart won't be in it. And here's another thing, just in closing. One of the things I mentioned earlier was about the insecurities of this potential insecurities of this gentleman, this husband. And one of the funny things to me is that even he may not realize that he is sabotaging his relationship. Why do you say that, James? I say that for this reason. If he feels like he's small time and in a big world, okay, and he's not pleasuring his woman the way he wants to, his wife the way he wants to, what will it do to his psyche to see somebody come in there, rock hammer, and he get exactly what he wants? You understand what I mean? Like, this dude is in there, like, just hitting it on time. Bang, bang, bang. And he's doing things to his wife and seeing his wife give expressions that she's never given to him before. What is that going to do to him? Because again, when you have this in your mind, this is something that you might not be able to get out your mind. Like, once you've experienced this and you've seen this, this is something that you're never going to let go. When you look at your wife or you look at your husband, if this affects you in a negative way, this will always affect you in a negative way. So it's just something to think about. And again, a lot of these issues and these lifestyles have been portrayed in a very positive way because in some cases it can be a positive experience. For some people, it's a positive experience. But we can't ignore the fact that this isn't for everybody. This isn't for everybody. And you have to know who you are. So the first thing is, take time to get to know yourself. Figure out who you are, what you're about. Then from there, be honest with yourself. Understand that once you are open and honest about what it is you want out of life and the things that you can do, your limitations, your blessings, your gifts, the things you exceed in, you're honest about what it is you can do. Be honest with yourself. That allows you and gives you the freedom to be honest with other people. When you're honest with other people and you can see everything going on with them, you can also be honest about your situation as you move forward in situations with these other folks. That's my take. I'm James. This has been My Take on Reality, and I'm out.